And if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Trying to reformat my screen to get everybody on it. So Jeff Sprock apologizes for not being able to be here. He actually is interviewing for a GIS manager position. And Mike Powell is on his way to the Marls conference. So this is my first attempt at hosting this meeting, and I appreciate all of your patience with me while I work through this. So if you're all ready, we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start by asking if there's any revisions to the agenda. No. Okay, so if there's no revisions to the agenda, we'll move on to the meeting minutes and approval of the meeting minutes. So is there anybody that would approve the meeting minutes from February 20th, 2024?
I'll approve them.
Thank you. And is there somebody to second that?
Gail, not to interrupt you, I was just wondering if you guys are quorate. I was just trying to figure that out really quick.
I actually did check that. That's what I was doing when I first came on, and we are. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, but there should be 6 of us. Let me check. Hillary, Mike, Tessa, Eric, Rob, and me.
Yep, you're good.
So we do have a quorum. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for checking that as well.
Yep.
So I just need somebody to second the meeting minutes from February 20th.
I'll second the meeting minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so moved. The meeting minutes are approved. So I'd like to go through the agenda just as it is on the screen, and then we also have some new business to discuss. And I have a lot of notes and documents, so if I get a little bit hairy trying to pull them all up, give me a moment. But we'll start with the local government SIG with Andrew. Welcome, Andrew.
Well, I'm excited to say that we've got a lot of good content planned with Magip. Yeah, I'm excited to hear what Gail says about her project this coming Thursday. But I'm just double checking on this right now. I don't have to log in, but I'm pretty sure we have content booked out all the way through June at the moment. So we've got lots of great people who've been stepping up and doing presentations, and people getting excited about it. So I'm feeling good about where the SIG is at, and we've been having lots of good feedback and people talking about stuff. And I've been really happy that we've been able to provide a forum for Aaron Castaway and the different Magip or state library working groups for MSDI leads to be able to have forums for either updates or requests for participation. And I've just really keep encouraging that kind of stuff to come up and send me a request if you have anything that comes up like that. And Jeff just sent me a reminder to have more people from the local government sector fill out the Magip member satisfaction survey. So I just sent that out as a reminder.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
So that's about where I'm at. Any questions from anybody?
Anybody have any questions for Andrew regarding the local government SIG? No? Awesome, Andrew. I'm really pleased to hear that you guys are continuing to have presentations. Have you gone to every other month?
The feedback when I brought that up during, I think, the March or the February meeting was people were really reluctant to drop a monthly meeting because they feel it's a really valuable forum and that they might lose track of projects or not have that continuity. And so, my response was, okay, well, as long as people continue to offer content and keep reaching out, then we'll keep it at monthly.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
So, the one, the local government SIG roundtable, that's my current kind of planning effort for figuring out topics. One thing I'm considering as a really good um, topic for discussion is, having an open discussion of how different GIS programs across local government compete for resources, whether that's time, money, or staff. And
Definitely a thing.
I think that'd be a really good topic to discuss. And if you have any other ones, feel free and shoot me an email soon, and then otherwise I'll be bringing it up Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so we're going to move on to the conference committee. Eric?
All right, well, I don't have too much to report. We have our request for assistance down lower on the agenda, so we can just chat about that when we get there. Michelle, thanks for getting along the sponsor registration updates. Looks like a lot of the sponsorships really came through. I don't know if everyone saw that email, but we're quite a bit over what we budgeted. And I'm just looking at the list right now. The only one that stood out to me that's still not on there potentially is Onyx. And so we also have a planning meeting tomorrow, so we can go more into the weeds then about if we want to keep reaching out to them, but that's the only sponsor I didn't really see. And then also looks like registrations picked up quite a bit, so that's looking really good. And then Mike is doing a lot of work to get together like some prizes, and he's been putting a lot of work into the social events for the conference this year on the Monday and Tuesday night. So those are looking like they're going to be a lot of fun. And then we, as far as like items for the conference, we're getting koozies and tote bags. Seem to all fall within our budget this year, and it looks like they were all a really good price, and I think those would be good items to have. So Michelle, thanks for ordering those as well.
Yeah, and Eric, there was a little money left, so I just ordered a couple little, so we have the koozies, the bags, and I think I ordered some little like the little covers, the webcam covers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I just found there was a little money left, and I found what was cheap, so I ordered some of those just to throw in the bag too.
Nice, that's a good idea. Yeah, and I mean with the extra sponsorship, I mean what we budgeted just a little over 15,000 that we were going to get in sponsorships, and we have 19,000. So
yeah, and I updated the budget this morning too, and was going to let you all know that. So right now, like Eric said, we're a little over in sponsorship. We budgeted 34,875 for registration revenue, and we're at 29,620. So that is down a little bit. So, that's if nobody were else to register today, that's where we're at.
Okay,
And then, we budgeted 21,000 for workshop revenue and we're at about 17,000. So, and then with the expenses so far, estimated expenses so far anyway, if they're kind of right on where they're supposed to be. So hypothetically, if nobody else were to register today, we would still be showing a bottom line in the black of about 6,500. So, I mean, obviously, hopefully we will are hoping for more registrants, but
yeah,
in the event nobody else were to register, we would still be okay.
perfect. Yeah, and
Awesome.
like I said, not to eat up time here because we'll get to it lower in the registration, but we still don't have any MSU attendees yet that have registered, so there will at least be a few more coming there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody
that's all the updates I have.
Those are good updates. Does anybody have any questions for Eric? Okay, thank you, Eric. And then to Eric's point, there's some other business that we're going to discuss as we move on. So technical committee, Tessa, give us an update on the technical committee stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, things are going well. I wanted to see if we had everybody's like bios and workshop information, or if I need to hunt anyone else down.
I think Mel is the last one I don't have anything for.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
well,
gonna say still, I
might-
think we're still missing a few, yeah.
Okay. I'm actually I'm on my way to the Marls like right after that conference, so I think I might see them there. I know they're like sponsoring a bunch of stuff,
Oh,
so I
good.
can
Perfect.
see him then and ask him. And then the other thing, do we know how many people have registered for each one of those yet?
Yes, I do have that, Tessa, and that was gonna be one of my questions to you. I don't know if you're gonna be on the call tomorrow, but for example, David Howes, the intro to Python, like on Monday, there's only one person registered, and then on Tuesday, there's only 2 people registered. So
Oh,
I just, because he's traveling here, I didn't know if he had a threshold of.
Oh, that's a good point. Do people, I'll ask him. I'll definitely ask him. But do people kind of wait till, like, is there last minute stuff, or does everyone kind of know what they're gonna do by now? I mean, conference is in like a month, but
I mean, there are people who do it last minute. I feel like with workshops, people usually kind of know, so I don't know. And I felt like his workshops were pretty popular last year, so I'm not sure why they're so low, but I just wanted to make you
Yeah.
aware of it in case you wanted to talk to him, or if there's something else we can do to promote those.
yeah, okay, sweet.
And then do you
But
want me
yeah.
to send you the counts on the other ones, just so you have
That'd be
them?
awesome. I'm just
And-
kind of curious. I want to see how we're doing.
Yeah, and I'll send all the workshop instructors their rosters again too.
Cool. I guess, is there anything else you need from me, Michelle? Like I said, I'll be at Marl's, but I'll have my email, and if I need to blast out a bunch of emails, let me know.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. I can reach out to all of them as well. And I think, yeah, there were just like Megan said, I think we're just missing 1 or 2 more.
Okay, sweet. Sounds good. But yeah, I mean, I think we're at a full house unless David House doesn't end up coming. But other than that, I think we're good.
Thank you, Tessa. Anybody have any questions for Tessa before she turns off her microphone? Nope. Thank you. Okay. Treasurer's report by Nate. I didn't actually see Nate on the call. Am I missing it?
I don't see Nate
I
either.
don't see him on either.
Yeah, and I didn't see him say that he wasn't going to be here anyway. You know what? Let's skip that. He may hop on in a little bit. And we'll move to scholarships and grants updates with Rob.
Yeah,
Hi, Rob.
it's a little, I think we're doing well. The scholarship and grant applications are due on the 25th. And I've got confirmation from our committee that they're on board. And so in terms of the committee, it'd be myself, a person from the University of Montana, and a person from private industry, namely OnX, and a person from MSU, and that's Frank Dower, Doer,
Doer.
Doer. Okay.
Doer.
Yeah. So I think we have good representation across the academic and private and government sectors there. Yeah, so we're just waiting on that. It's been nice to see. There have been a few questions that Michelle has directed towards me about inquiries for the grants and the scholarships. Didn't really, upon replying to them, I never did get any more questions. So hopefully clear things up for them and encourage them to apply. And I think that's the bulk of it right there.
That's awesome.
We're kind of we're in the waiting phase, right? So applications are due on the 25th, and then we will have made decisions and announcements on the recipients. We'll be able to announce those at the conference.
That's exciting. How many do you have? Do you have a number?
Applications so far?
Yeah, so far.
No, none.
Okay.
0.
Okay.
And as you know, if the deadline is Friday at 5, you'll get your applications at 4:55.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Rob.
You bet.
All right. Member Development Committee, Mike Item. Mike, want to give us an update? What's going on?
Sure. Yeah, we've had 22 people fill out the member satisfaction survey so far. I still plan on either well, I'd like to send out an email via the all members email address through Wild Apricot. But I kind of forgot how to do that. So maybe I'll get with Michelle and we can do that. And I can share my screen for a minute and we can go through some of the initial survey responses.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing. There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. It looks like most people who have responded work for state government, followed up by private and city. And overall, most people are satisfied with the experience being a member of Magip. We did have a few lower responses, 3 to 4.4 per out of 10. Most people felt that the membership cost is worth the benefits of being a member. We had 15 there. And people value the networking community, Big Sky GeoCon conference, and the professional job development. And I thought this was sort of interesting. Most people feel neutral or agree that we engage the membership enough. So it'd be interesting to follow up and find out how the membership would like to be engaged more. I know social media is only one one venue of engagement, but it'd be interesting to find out how they'd like to be engaged more. Most people have attended the Big Sky GeoCon. And things that could prohibit you from attending the Big Sky GeoCon would it was mostly travel, calendar conflicts, and relevant content. And cost was up there as well, and time commitment and employer approval. The majority of those said they would maybe attend a fall technical session, with a slight higher percentage of those saying yes than no. And we decided we didn't want to dig too deep into the technical sessions, just because this is kind of a generalized survey. Most people agree that finding a job using the Magip listserv was beneficial, with about 60%, 60 and 22% strongly agree. The aspects of Magip activities that you find particularly beneficial or lacking. This one's kind of hard to analyze right on the fly, but some people said the mentoring and GISP were both beneficial. Local government SIG was nice. Meetups are neglected far too often. We should have more of them. Like to see more training and speakers from free and open GIS community. I do like the affordability of Magip. More meetups in Bozeman. Community knowledge sharing could be improved upon. The majority of people who have responded are not part of any of the SIGs, but 7 of them were out of 22. Looks like most of the respondents were either part of the LiDAR or local government SIG. Looks like most people are satisfied with the current SIG offerings and activities, with an average of 3.5. Are there specific issues or topics you'd like to see addressed through SIGs? An open source SIG, imagery LiDAR SIG, especially because Montana State Library is starting to form its legislative bill. This wasn't a required question, so we didn't have quite as many responses.
Could you go back to, could you scroll up just a little bit? The second to the last comment, I think these could be used for a lot of things, but if you're going to be serious about them, they should be easily discoverable on the website. So I think that the comment that to get to the SIGs, they need to be displayed on the website. I wonder if we could do a calendar with them. Membership to access meeting materials.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty easy way that we could embed a calendar on there. And also his comment or her comment, I also take issue with requiring membership to access meeting materials. To get our community members working together. They see value in Magip, they will join, but they aren't just going to join because they can't get access to a meeting recording. Yeah, I have some comments about that, but thank you. I was interested in the comment.
Yeah,
I think that when somebody makes a comment like that, it's important for us to be open to the idea that we could make change to make it better. Yeah, thank you.
definitely. Looks like most people are engaging with Magip 9 times per month, with the majority being 7.8 to 11.2. And 4 people engage almost 18 times per month, and some only engage 1 to 4.4 times per month. People find the listserv the most effective way of staying informed about Magip activities, and the all members email. Not so much Instagram or Facebook or even the website. LinkedIn is our 3rd highest. Most people are very likely to recommend Magip to their peers or colleagues, which is a good thing. Any ideas on how we can continue to expand our membership? The focus seems to be on government. The natural resource folks seem to be out of the picture. You might ask FWP why they don't attend the Big Sky GeoCon. Reaching out to employers who appear to be underrepresented, engineering firms, Onyx, lots of private sector GIS folks aren't members. For the private sector, emphasize that members and community involvement are an important part of getting a GISP and help with upward career mobility. Provide greater opportunities for training, involve non-GIS users, and provide resources for new or small GIS operations within city, county governments. Provide great content at conferences. More private sector membership from new industries. I think we should offer a joint meeting with a surveying, engineering, or remote sensing organization. Wyoming Society for Engineers and Surveyors, perhaps. I don't know what ASPRS is.
I need to let me look.
That's the American Society of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a big,
Interesting.
big national organization.
Having more events that bring members of the GIS community together. Membership spotlights to showcase projects of members. We've talked about that with social media. Engage more with students and have more content for users of open source and non-GIS software. I wonder if they meant Esri software or non-GIS.
That's what I wondered too. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Looking ahead, what emerging trends or topics in GIS do you believe Magip should focus on? WebGIS, Web App Builder, Experience Builder, GIS programming languages, UAS technology, AI, the role of Geo AI, statewide collaborations, BIM and digital twins, and artificial intelligence, cloud GIS, and AI in GIS, building effective web applications, best practices, including metadata. ArcGIS is not the only mapping tool available. We are seeing more people making maps with Tableau and Power BI. I don't know if Magip should focus on these, but it might be worth brainstorming to engage non-Esri mapping tools and users. Artificial intelligence, drone, data collection, ethics and GIS, cloud-based enterprise, more artificial intelligence, GIS data management, cross-platform integrations, and advocacy. What additional services or resources would you like Magip to provide in the future? More open source, more trainings throughout the year, more content, how GIS users need to know a degree of system admin and database management, and Magip could put users in touch with professionals in these realms. Free one-day trainings or virtual learning. Are there any specific challenges or issues within the GIS community that Magip should address? Oops. Potential job cuts due to automation and AI, climate change, and external economic forces that can change the vocation. Shared themes of spatial data science and GIS, and how job titles could change in the future. Montana's a big state. It can be hard to attend Big Sky GeoCon if it's too far away. Seems like significant training issues exist amongst rural GIS professionals. I'm not sure how you reach and engage these folks, but they often need basic GIS assistance. The local government SIG is a great resource for these people, and more advocacy for GIS. Most people feel that it's somewhat important for Magip to collaborate with other organizations or I guess nonprofits. I don't know what the rest of that question is. Oh, organizations or institutions, followed up by very important. And most people think that we should be partnering with Marls, engineering firms, Esri, Northwest GIS, Eureka, Montana State Library, Mako, MLCD, MACD, USGS, USDA, Esri and Autodesk, Montana Society of Engineers. I'm not sure what MLCT is or MACD. We were ranking about a 3.5 in promoting inclusivity and diversity within the geospatial community. Most agree that we're 3 to 4 to a 5.
Were there any additional comments on that about how they felt like we weren't being inclusive? I would be curious to know more about that. Maybe that's something we could follow up on.
Yep, the next question, are there specific initiatives or strategies you would recommend to enhance inclusivity within Magip? It's a tough area to make progress in, and I think Magip does okay, given the effort required. That's a tough one. You're starting at a disadvantage due to the lack of diversity in the state, but that has been changing with growth. In that context, you probably have to be pretty aggressive with inclusivity and diversity if you're going to have any impact. Honestly, not sure if there's a real divide in the demographics of membership, but I suppose one could find more venues in non-traditional locations to advertise becoming a Magip member. Advertise in tribal colleges, trade schools, for example. And check out the Geo Women group.
Interesting.
Please share any additional thoughts, suggestions or concerns you have regarding Magip's current activities and future direction. I love the addition of the tribal tract. I hope to see more diverse perspectives in GIS in the future. I also hope to see Magip provide more opportunities to apply for financial aid. I would not want cost to be a barrier to entry for a new graduate or other GIS practitioners in a career transition. And I like Magip's scholarship programs.
So Mike, we're running a little short on time.
Yeah,
Are we
I probably
almost
talked for
through?
too long.
No, I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this survey. And I would say that, Andrew, thank you for taking the time to send that out again. If any of you on the call haven't had the opportunity to take the survey, I would love to get your feedback as well. And I know that as we move forward into the upcoming year, coming back and looking at this, this data is going to be really, I think, it's going to influence some of our decisions. Does anybody have any questions for Mike before we move on to the next topic? No.
I guess one question I have, it sounded like there were, so we sent this out, that we sent the survey out, what, to the entire membership?
I've only sent it out via the listserv about, I would say 3 weeks ago. And then I think Mike Powell or Gail, you recommended we send it out to the local government SIG. And then I was gonna send it out again to all members this week.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, sending it out to all the members, because what, we have 200 to 300 members. And so far we only have 22 responses. So, you know, that's just barely representative, right?
Yeah.
Sampling, you generally want to capture about 10, at a minimum 10% of the population. So yeah,
Actually
it's a good
piped
start.
up too. Aaron, your hand is raised.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, how do you know that Magip members are filling this out? Is it just like they have to self-describe that they're a Magip member, or is it being authenticated through the system?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's not being authenticated. It's open to the public.
Okay. Did it get broadcast on LinkedIn?
There was a social media post once about it.
Okay. I noticed that when things are on LinkedIn, they are well responded to. So I would just suggest that. And then if you'd like, I'll bang people over the head in state government and my agency and ask them to fill this out too. And if I can do anything like say, hey, this is really important to the community, if I can send an email to the Magip listserv, I'll do that. If you guys are, if you think that would be helpful.
I think so. I think
Okay.
as many places as we can send it and broadcast it would be great. I do, Mike, I really like the idea of you getting into Wild Apricot and doing a blast to all of the Magip members. I think that's really important, knowing that it's coming specifically from the Magip board. And then, yeah, Aaron, anything you can do. And it is Jeff's intent to speak about this during the Magip conference. So love to get as many responses as we can get.
Well, I can help. I'd love to help.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with all that. I do wonder though, is there a place, I forgot, I took the survey a while ago, but is there a place in the survey where you indicate whether you're a member or not? Because it's
That's a good
difficult
question.
to interpret somebody's, assessment of Magip if they're not a member.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. And if you've only had 12 responses, it's not too late to throw one at the end or something if it won't kill your survey.
What do you think, Mike? Do you think you could add that at the end?
Yeah, I think I can. Sometimes it wants you to delete all the responses, but I think that's only in survey 123 connect.
Okay.
So I think I can make a small schema change.
Are
Cool.
is your intent that only we just would want members to fill it out because it's member satisfaction. So if you did it through Wild Apricot, Mike, the only people that would be allowed to fill it out would be members. So then you would just know that they were a member.
They would have to sign in through Wild Apricot
Yeah.
to fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a survey through ArcGIS Online, and if the link is open to the public, anybody can access it. So
I
you'd
mean,
have to
you'd have to dip this
authenticate
one.
through like Hub or something like that, which you could do, which we've done before.
Yeah, or you would just have to build it in Wild Apricot, just do it separate. So it just
Yeah,
depends on
then we
what the
can merge
intent
the
is, I
data.
guess. Yeah.
Andrew, did you have something to say?
Well, I was just saying, if you wanted to rebuild it in Wild Apricot, you'd have to ditch the one that you already have. And that could be confusing, at least. You'd have to send out some sort of clarification, communication thing. Saying, sorry if you already filled it out, but you got to fill it again.
Yeah.
Well, we can
Yeah, I
capture
think
the responses we already have, don't we? And we're database people, so we could probably integrate that.
You can, you just don't know where they're coming from.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna if everybody's okay, if everybody's asked all the questions of Mike, I'd like to move on just for the sake of time. But definitely would like to come back to the answers that were submitted there, and then also consider that that there are some action items there for us. So I don't want to rush anybody, but does anybody have any other questions with regard to the survey or to Mike item regarding the membership? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move to the web subcommittee. Is Megan Burns on? She is. There she is. I thought I
here.
heard you laugh, Megan. You're up.
Not much to report. We're the web subcommittee or redesign group working away at going through the pages and going through the process of how we want things to look in the clone site. So yeah, that's again Tessa and Hillary and Curtis and Mike Powell and myself. And then otherwise just trying to keep things updated on the website for the conference and elections and yeah, whatever else is
There's a
needed.
lot of That's awesome. I do have a question, Megan. Earlier we were talking about being able to get these SIG meetings on a calendar on the web page. Is that something technically that you guys might be able to accomplish?
They are on the calendar. If you go to they're all events, and if you look at the calendar, they are on there. I think
Is it on the home page? Like on the
it's
front
if you
page?
click on events at the top.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
yes, on the home page, all of the events are there as well. It's
Got
just
it.
not in the
Okay.
calendar view. But if you want it to look like a calendar, you just have to go to the event page.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Megan? Okay. Thank you, Megan. That's a big job and we really appreciate your time. And I know just from chatting with Tessa that there's been a little bit of frustration about making decisions because there's so much stuff on there, but better to have too much content than not enough. Okay. MGIAC, Eric Spangenberg sent an email with an update, but I was hoping maybe Aaron would be willing to jump on and give us an update.
Oh, yes, I will
There
be.
you are.
What did his email say?
I actually do have it if you want me to see if I can bring it up
Hold on,
here.
let
Let's
me get my camera working.
see
Like
if I can
won't
figure out
state
which
that.
one it is.
All
Nope, that's the Google Drive. I'm gonna keep that one up in case I lose it. Shoot, I have so many of them up here. Oh, here it is. And I'll go ahead and share my screen so you can use it as a
Cool. Thanks.
Can everybody see that?
Yes. Okay. And I apologize. I think I missed the last meeting, but Eric was voted as the official rep to the council. And so that was completed 2 meetings ago, in January, I do believe. And so this past go around, okay, I'm looking at his notes. Oh, the state of Montana has, well, geez, for I think since 2002 negotiated what's called a master purchase agreement on behalf of state and local government. And this is basically government pricing that that the state manages, and it also covers basic services, some of those agreements when you contract with their professional services. So it's a contracting mechanism that all governments, whether you know it or not, local governments in Montana rely upon, and state government. And so that's where, if you've ever seen those price lists, or if you've had to contract with Esri, you usually have to, and someone ends up calling me or state procurement to get those contracts and copies of those agreements. That expired a while back. And Esri has been they have been honoring the local government discounted pricing for a while. And we have been working to renegotiate that contract because we are also renegotiating the state's enterprise agreement. And a lot of other states, if you've come from other state, you might know this, that they don't have typically both types of agreements in place. And the enterprise agreement is basically based on our master purchase agreement pricing. So in state government, we use both as procurement mechanisms. And it's a very important tool for local government and state government. And so right now I am waiting on our contracting folks within state ITSD. So that's basically under the Department of Administration. The CIO oversees ITSD, and they're in charge of all state IT contracts. I'm waiting on them to finish the redlining and complete that with Esri. If you have, I guess, I have not heard of Esri giving any local governments issues with purchasing, and they're still honoring that local government pricing through the MPA. So I would say that if anyone hears about it, I would love to know, and I can help pressure getting this contract signed if we're having issues. Other than that, we will notify the community when that contract is completed. And let's see what else is on here. As a part of our GIS strategic plan, we one of the risks identified was that we weren't publishing or we didn't have a good mechanism for or excuse me, not mechanism, workflow for publishing best practices and standards. So we had worked with our contractor, AppGeo, and part of the business plan that it's out there on the web, and I can link to it here in a minute. Part of the business plan that we had created was to basically create a methodology for the creation, standardization, and promulgation of best practices. Magip plays a really important role in that, and I can pull that up. I don't know how much time there is, but I can certainly present to Magip at a different point in time. And we are working through the process of understanding the costs and benefits of an imagery repository. There is an imagery working group tomorrow. We've basically been having them almost monthly since the imagery repository we're trying to gear up for next legislative session. So there will be a legislative ask to basically give us the funding to create an imagery repository. The initial discussion is to put statewide imagery, including NAEP, into like a one-stop shopping location. It would start to basically standardize all state imagery data sets and collections. Again, one-stop shopping. And then look to see if we could also offer something to local government to put their imagery repositories in or to store their imagery in a statewide imagery repository. So it's going to definitely be a phased approach. We're starting with state imagery, that being state government imagery, and working from there. Let's see. MGAC has an afternoon spot. Oh yeah, we're gonna do a round table. It says it's a meeting still, Michelle. I think I emailed you. We can work on that and sketch. So that we want, instead of doing a meeting at the conference, we decided just to do a panel, or I don't know what we're calling it, a panel or a round table with the council members. Mike was in attendance, and Mike Powell gave the report at the last week's meeting. We will, as discussed at the beginning, at the first meeting of the council, the new council, we decided to meet more frequently this year. And so we're just going to continue to have Magip board give a report. If there's no report, then you can just let us know. But those dates should be published. But we just wanted to make sure that you knew that you have a spot on our agenda. If you desired to give a report or have any items to put on the agenda, we'll definitely make room for those. Just let me know. And I think that's it.
Awesome. That's a whirlwind.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think that let me drop the link to the workflow. So the first standard we want to test out through this process would be addressing. Would be an addressing standard. And so I gotta find it quickly. Copy, and I'll put it in here. Okay, so it's featured. One more thing that Eric forgot to mention is that our grant program application period closed in February, and we had a total of 11 grants submitted. And they should be all posted online. We have about a $400,000 request. And I think a budget of 250. So the grant request clearly exceeds what's available. We had 11 total, all local governments, ranging from an RTN build out. We do have one request for a pilot project for the new methodology for creating hydro. We have a couple next gen, a couple PLSS, and then a couple local government capacity building. The next meeting is April 23rd, I do believe. And we will be ranking and prioritizing the funding for those grants at that meeting. That will be done in the interim with the subcommittee that oversees that grant scoring process. And then they'll be endorsed by the council on the 23rd and then make their way to the commission for final approval. And then the grant program for fiscal year 25 starts on July 1st. No, not earlier than July 1st. But I would like to eventually discuss with, I don't know if it's the technical committee. Wait, does the technical committee still exist with Magip?
The technical committee may be slightly different than what you think it is.
Okay.
So that's Tessa, who put together the tech sessions for the Magip conference. Is that
Okay.
what you were thinking?
The technical committee used to way back in the day, we used to work with them directly to review best practices and be a part of that process. So I don't know, it doesn't sound like that group exists any longer.
Maybe
But
a subcommittee, like a
yeah.
subcommittee that you could put together just for that project.
Yeah. I think it basically, whatever Magip sees is the best group, but they're in the workflow itself. It does call for external groups and stakeholders. And so, and Magip is actually called out in the workflow itself. So you know how much the state values Magip as a community for feedback and partnership on these types of efforts. So I will probably maybe ask for time on an upcoming meeting to go over this and see what that looks like. Gail, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the next meeting that we're going to have is going to be at the Maggot conference.
Okay.
And then, yeah. And then maybe the next one in May.
Okay.
So if we move into May, then, yeah, we'll see. I think that the elections should be over at that point, and then kind of the transition period. But
Okay.
I wonder, is it something that we could maybe send out to the Maggot board and then give them something to read about, and then we could talk about at the Maggot board meeting during the conference? Would that work?
I think so. I don't know how much time
Okay.
we want to dedicate towards the discussion, but if we could at least start the discussion.
Yeah, I
That
think
would be
so
great.
too. And sometimes that's email. Sometimes
Yeah,
that's
no
the best
kidding.
way to get it done. Okay.
Okay. I saw someone gave a thumbs up. Can you access that document? Can everyone see it? If you just someone give it a click, make sure it's working for you.
Easier said than done.
I know,
Having
right?
technical issue. I'm sharing my screen, so I've completely lost the
I can see
oh,
the
here it is.
agenda.
I got it. Okay, there we go. Okay, I just clicked the link.
Yep, perfect.
and
Okay.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, there was a
Awesome.
companion memo, but this just goes straight to that workflow. And so you can
Cool.
see in the green, we rely upon external groups and stakeholder communities. And so we thought it was important just to call out Magip in general and saying that we would work with Magip as one of our more, I guess, important partners and stakeholders, being the geospatial community for Montana, that we would work with you when testing and reviewing certain parts of best practices and standards.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think the overall intention is there are going to be times when people are going to ask us to review standards. We will do that, update standards. We will do that. There are going to be standards that are only for state government. There are going to be standards that we cannot, we don't have the authority to put into place, but we certainly could review, like working with the state CIO, the CDO. And then once they become a state standard, then, we would work with the community to ask Magip to potentially adopt the standards and best practices, and then also our data partners to adopt those as well.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for including us in this. Yeah, I think the best way to go about that, Erin, would be to send an email to the Maggot board, or you could send it to me, Mike, and Jeff.
Okay.
And then we could make sure that it gets distributed, and then we could add it to the agenda for our meeting at the Maggot conference.
Cool.
Which I think is actually a really great time for us to be discussing this, because we'll have so many people in the same room.
Sure. Okay.
Give the opportunity for people to talk about it.
Yep.
Awesome.
And I think it's just, it's been a while since we've done something formal like this. And we're just kind of trying to get our ducks in a row, and work towards a better methodology for implementing and adopting standards. And some folks who've been around a while will know that this was something that Magip did do in the past, but it might have to be kind of a refresher, and I could try to do a little bit of digging to see when the last time Magip endorsed a standard was.
Yeah, well, and I think that actually there's something in our new business, which is approved spending bylaw changes to a membership vote to change MLEAC wording to MGAC, is also, you know, like getting back into that formal process of working together and approving things together.
Yeah.
Hey, I do want to say really quickly, it's 3:03, and then I know that our calendar event is just for an hour. We do have some new business that I really would love everybody, if you can stay on, to stay on. We'll try to get through it really quickly without too much back and forth, but some kind of important things that I want to put in front of you. Erin, does anybody have any questions for Erin? Erin, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Nope, just thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate having you on the call and giving us the update. I was going to have to do it for Eric, so much better to have you on the call and give us the real scoop. Okay. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to move from the reports to the new business. And this first piece of business, actually, I think will require maybe a vote. So discuss approving requests for assistance to allow students from Bozeman free registration. So this is something that's been going back and forth in the conversations with myself and with Jeff and also with Mike. There may have been, Michelle probably was on it. It may have gone out to the whole Magip board. I kind of lose track, and I apologize if I missed anybody, but I would really be interested. Actually, we talked about it at our last board meeting. So the idea is that, and maybe Eric, you can pop on and give us a little bit more clarity, but the idea was that there was a request for assistance that came from Jackson Rose at Montana State University to request that they had, I think it was 13 students that we would give tuition for to come to the conference. Does that sound right, Eric?
Yeah, I'm pulling up because I wanted to, you know, keep myself sort of separate from this. So I'm actually pulling up the request for assistance right now. I didn't see what Jackson's final number was, but I believe that's what he was asking.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because Nate isn't on the call, and we really needed to have Nate, I think, give us a number on the budgets. But I also think that it's something that we definitely have a quorum here, so we could vote and approve it if everybody feels like we should. Eric, were you able to find his request for assistance?
No, I'm getting an email from, I think, from you and Michelle that's just saying that it was submitted, but I'm not seeing the actual request for assistance itself.
I can pull it up, Gail.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then
So
I actually
I-
am gonna stop sharing. And Rob, you have something to say, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I recall the request for assistance. It was something of the flavor that, you know, when we talked about this at our last meeting, or when we talked about it last, we suggested that they submit a request for assistance, which we've done in the past, which get, you know, for $150 to enhance their transportation, right? Like we've kind of done that in the past. A member can request that. But they came back with a different alternative, right? They said, well, we have transportation, we just want free registration. So I understand, but I do not think, I'm not comfortable approving this in its current form, because it kind of flies in the face of all of the other things that we're doing for other students, right? So we have complimentary registration for students that are willing to volunteer, right? We have 10 of those. And we give a complimentary registration to our awardees, our grantees, our scholarship and grant recipients. So to then just give a free registration for showing up, it sort of diminishes the opportunities we're providing for people who have some skin in the game. So, and then furthermore, if we do that for this one organization, we would be compelled to do that for every other institution. So I would recommend, because, we do want to engage students and have them be present. How about $10 per person? I mean, that doesn't even cover food. I presume they will eat while they're there, right? So I think that's quite reasonable. You can't go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac and a shake for $10. So if you want to show up, be part of the professional organization, I think a small contribution towards that event would be reasonable.
Yeah.
I
I agree with that. And I'd also say, I mean, or what we could do is we could just go back and say, not 14 students, but 10, and then that those 10 would have to, volunteer and participate. Because then that way, that's something like you said, like we have that established already, like we have 10 as a number. So we're kind of leaning on something that we already have.
That's not a bad thought, Eric. I appreciate that, but I think we already, there are other people applying for those already.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? I mean, that's what Jenny Connolly is doing. And I assume that there are applicants, right? So what about students from Rocky Mountain College or, things of that nature that may be wanting to participate, or any other institution? So, hey, if they want to bring 20 people, that's great, but I don't see that it has to be free. I think a small contribution would be effective or reasonable. That might be something, and that might be something we consider going forward, but we have already made it a $25, just a straight up student registration is $25. That's not even too much to ask.
Student registration is 75.
75. Okay. Yeah. So, in that sense, we could be asking for 25, right? Because I mean, that's quite reasonable too. So anyway, that's my stance. I'm sure other people have things that they would like to contribute, and I'm not going to be a wall that stands in the way, but this is sort of my impression, because there are other people who are really working for the privilege to attend for free.
Okay, Mike, I saw that you had something to say. Did you want to?
Yeah. So it almost looks like in their request that they would be willing to I don't know, present their service learning projects to Magip or the entire conference. I'm wondering if we could incorporate a time for that, or I mean, I would love to hear 14 people's capstone projects. I don't know if there's a time for that, and I agree with Rob that I mean, they should volunteer if they want complimentary registrations or participate somehow. So maybe if we can find a time for them to present for an hour and a half or something, or 2 hours.
Yeah, so we built in a student panel this year. It's going to be one of the last sessions, and then sort of already to Rob's point, we didn't want this to be like we kind of opened up the opportunity for all students, and Ken is working with some students from Rocky Mountain College. We might also have some other students from the University in Billings, so Rocky Mountain and MSU Billings, that are going to participate on this as well. So that sort of has shifted the focus. I think we threw this out there because we were like, oh, a panel would be a great way to get a ton of students involved, like MSU is sort of requesting, but then we didn't want to close it off and make it the MSU Bozeman panel. So the focus of that is going to change, but we do already have that established.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
Okay.
they could have submitted an abstract for that,
Yeah.
you know?
Eric, I have a question
Mhm.
regarding the panel. So I met with Jackson Rose, I don't know, a week ago Friday, to just, we had a lot of things that we needed to talk about, and this happened to be one of them. And it sounded like from his perspective, the idea would be that the students would bring the van over early in the day on Wednesday, but would be heading back on the same day. So is that your understanding? That's kind of my first question. And then the second one is there was some conversation about the meal and the cost of the meal and whether or not the students were planning on participating in that. But based on what I had heard from Jackson, that wasn't going to be the case. So then I guess that brings me to my third question, and that is if you have a panel, like if you have a block of time that's already set aside for the student discussion, if that's on the latter part of the conference, that's Thursday afternoon, how many students are going to be there? That's
Yeah,
a lot. Sorry.
yeah. From what I understand was they just weren't planning on getting a place to stay. I think there were some students that were going to attend both days, but they're actually just going to be driving back and forth. So I mean, maybe what I can do, because I was trying to keep myself out of his request for assistance, just out of fairness. I was like, just all I told him was like, you have to sort of decide on one. You can't just come asking us like, hey, we want some money. I was like, you need to say whether or not you want assistance for travel, if you want assistance for registration, like you just need to specify that, then we have something to work with. So maybe I could go back to him and just mention we're getting the feeling that we could just do a discounted student registration as opposed to free registrations, just out of, like Rob said, just fairness to the opportunities that we have. I don't know, what does everyone think about that?
Yeah, I'd actually like to discuss maybe another option as well. So having a student membership, I think, is important. Having it be affordable, I think, is important. And also becoming a member of Magip, I think, is important. So I wonder how the board would feel about changing the cost of a membership to Magip itself. And then if they become a member of Magip, then as a student, then they would receive a reduced rate. I mean, $75 feels like a lot to me as a student, but I could be wrong. And I don't know. And maybe Michelle, you know, this is part of their student registration. Does that also make them a Magip member?
No, I mean, just registering for the conference does not make them a member. No.
Okay. So from my perspective, getting ready to move into the presidency, I think it's important for students to be members of Magip. I think that there's the listserv that we send out, but then also the additional, for instance, I would love to get their feedback on that survey. I mean, they're not in the profession yet, but they're moving that direction, and certainly they have an opinion. Does that sound like, Rob, something that you think would add some fairness to?
So you said a lot of things there.
I know, right?
Yeah, so help me understand, and I'm, damn it, I'm on another screen and I can't see you, but so we want them to, so maybe we are offering them an opportunity to come to this meeting and participate. They will pay a fee, and that fee will provide them with Magip membership and allow them to be part of the conference. Is that what we're suggesting?
It's an alternative. I think that
So I think it's a cool idea. I think it's a cool idea because, and actually I was wondering, is Jackson a Magip member?
actually, I think that Jackson is a member, and when I talked to him, he actually had expressed interest in running for one of the open board places. So yeah, he was really interested in being part of the Magip board. We did talk about his ability to be available because his workload gets really busy, of course, during December and January, which is when we kind of get really busy as well with conference planning. But I guess we just need to make a decision about whether or not we're going to approve this, the assistance for this as it's written, or do we want to go back and maybe ask him to modify his request?
Well, I think, we don't want to have too much back and forth necessarily, because at some point we got to make a decision, and maybe we need to be comfortable on what we're willing to offer. Right?
Yeah, and if I could, thank you, Rob. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I was wondering about your proposal. So it's $75 for a student to attend the conference for registration, if that's strictly what they're going to do. And what is it, $25 to be a member?
Yes.
So where do we land it there? Right?
Yeah,
So
that's
because
a good point.
if we're going to charge them $25, we're still giving them free registration.
Yes.
And Gail, one thing I might suggest moving forward too is maybe you just need to create a sponsorship level. Maybe you have a student sponsor for $1,500, and that would cover up to 20 students.
That's brilliant.
And maybe
I
there's
love
still
that.
and maybe there's still some type of like a simple application process, and it's kind of like a scholar, maybe it's a student scholarship sponsorship or something like that, or I don't know, but maybe you can get it covered with sponsorship funds.
Okay.
I mean,
So
that's I like that idea, but
Mhm.
then we're getting too weird, too complicated with the student thing, right? I mean, I'm #1 supporter of the students, but we can't have scholarships, grants, requests for assistance, conference, volunteerism, and all this business, right? I think we could really stand to streamline that. Like you said, Gail, there's no reason why we can't change things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we're going to change things, so we should work in the direction of making it more streamlined.
I agree, and I think that the scholarships should just stay the scholarships, Rob, what you handle, which
Yep.
we've already discussed are completely different than just the conference registration waiver. So you have the scholarships that you manage, but then maybe the only other option is there's this pot of $1,500 for 20 students, and it's first come, first serve, I mean, and maybe it's either, and you don't call it a scholarship, it's just, fee waiver. You can apply for a fee waiver if you would like, and it's there's 20 of them, and it's first come, first serve, or something like that.
I like it. I like it.
I like that too. I would like to add one other additional note. I just reached out to Jenny Jenny, have we gotten any requests for scholarships to come to Magip? And her response is no. So there are no other people asking to use this fund. So maybe what we can do right now is agree that, is it $750 that we have available?
Well, in the conference budget that I created, there is three, hold on, there's 300 for the waivers and 300 for travel awards. So if nobody's using any of it, there would be $600. And then there are separate funds for request for assistance. And I think Nate said there was $575 in that general fund. And I don't know how much of that has been used yet.
Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta roll. I gotta go help Mike set up Marl stuff. So is there anything else you guys need from me, or can I skedaddle?
No, I think you're good, Tessa. Thank
Makes
you.
sense.
I just want to make sure that we don't lose our quorum with Tessa being gone.
Oh, yeah.
Tessa, before you go, let me just do a quick count. So Eric, Rob, Hillary, Megan's not, Mike is, I am. I'm going to count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Megan doesn't count. That's only 5. Tessa, we lose our quorum if you go. Would you mind just staying on just for this one thing until we make a decision? Aaron, go ahead.
Sorry
Aaron,
to
you got your
interrupt.
hand up. No, that's okay. Thank you, Tessa.
Thanks. I just wanted to, if you don't mind me commenting,
Please.
as a person who put this request for assistance into play way back in the day, you have to be a member of Magip to ask for assistance. I
Right.
did look it up. Jack is or Jackson. Is it Jack? Yeah, he is a member, but the 14 others might not be. So I would take that into consideration and the fairness to the rest of the membership
Mhm.
I think it's great to do these things, but maybe, have a plan for it, like, the 1,500 or whatever you said. And then also we went through a pretty intense process of analyzing membership with a SIG a few years ago, and came up with the new model. And so I know I would feel pretty disappointed if that were just to change pretty quickly, based on all the analysis that was done in the past. So I'll just throw that out there. And I think it was myself and Lee Mackholtz, and I can't remember whom else was on that, but when we analyzed what was being asked, and tried to do a better understanding of what membership could look like.
Yeah, thank you for those comments, Aaron. That really is helpful as well. Dang, this is I feel like we're in a bit of a conundrum here. This
Well,
is what I would go ahead.
I don't think we're in a conundrum necessarily, I mean, I think we're just talking about how generous we want to be, right? And so let's think of it like this. What if we require that they become members and then they can attend for $10 a day, right? So that's $35 per person to attend. We're giving them $910 with this request, right?
Yeah,
because it's $75 registration times 14 is a little over $1,000. If all we're asking them to contribute is $10 per person, we're essentially giving them $910. That's one of the most substantial requests for assistance I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was gonna add that in there, Rob. It's like, it seems like, like 14 registrations, like it's not that much, but it is technically a request for assistance for a little over $1,000.
Right.
So it is quite large. So I do think.
Right. So I mean, I think that's really generous. It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so
they get a full year of membership benefits.
So to implement this, our response would be no to the initial ask, but a counter offer, which would be please ask your students to become members. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew has to jump. Your students would have to become members. It would be $25 to become a member of Magip. And then we would allow them to register for $10 per day. Does that sound like what everybody heard?
Yep.
Michelle, is there a way for you to manage that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay.
And do you want
Okay.
$10 a day or $10 for the conference?
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
I would say $10 for the conference, just for the ease of making that go through. I would also point out one other thing, and that is that the meals, Eric, can you tell us what the meal on Wednesday evening costs if they plan on attending that? Or maybe Michelle, you know that.
Yeah, it's approximately $30. So if their $10 isn't even going to come close to covering that. But that's
I
just
think we could ask them to pay for it. I mean, I think that they could come for the conference, and if they would like to come for the meal on Wednesday evening, they could just pay the additional $30. Just like we have, if I were to bring a guest with me, we would pay an additional amount for that.
Yeah.
I think attending, participating in the functions, like the dinners and that type of stuff is one of the more intriguing parts of the conference, right? And so we definitely, I think if they're going to be there, it would be good for them to participate in that. So what if we say, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Included in the cost?
Put it in the cost, yeah. Or maybe even a little reduced cost,
Yeah.
Like if you say $50, right now you're getting a $10 discount on the meal. And you get a membership. But then 50 starts to sound like more.
How many active Magip student members do we have?
I can look real quick, but also keep in mind we have 5 students that have registered for the conference and paid the $75 fee. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're going to offer the $10 rate to these 14 students, that's fine. But I think they do need to, like you said, Eric, they need to commit to something. They either need to be on that panel, there's got to be some kind of contribution, because what if one of the students who paid $75 finds out that another student paid $10 and is wondering why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's fair. I didn't realize that we'd had so many students already register.
Well, so I think just for the sake of just putting this like down to a vote, we can just vote no for this, and then what I can do is I can relay this information to Jackson, and then just to keep it formal, I can let him know what our offer is, and I could ask him to put through another request for assistance, just so that way it's like it's in words. We're doing everything proper. It's like coming through the board, and it's not just like, no, but here's what we can do kind of thing. We just kind of vote this down. I'll tell him why, and then he can put in another request for assistance, and I can let him know what we're willing to offer.
Hey,
I like
Eric,
that idea.
Would you feel comfortable potentially essentially writing the request for assistance for him?
Yeah, I would help him with that.
Together here, we'll help come up with an agreeable solution. You can present that to him and be like, this is what we're interested in doing. You can if you submit this, we'll approve it.
Yeah, I agree. So that way there's also less back and forth too, because we want to just get the next thing from him and be like, yep, that's what we agreed on, so we're good to go.
Yeah. So I think, for congeniality's sake, you could probably go back to him and say, yes, we're happy to work with you. We just have to come up with, fair terms.
All right. So for the sake of moving on, let's just agree maybe we could put it to a vote if you want to, or we could all agree that we're going to decline this request for assistance, and then they're going to resubmit. So everybody, I guess I could get at everybody that agrees with that, say yes.
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 Okay, and then if there's anybody that dissents, say no or nay. All right. Okay, we've made a decision on that. That was a tough one, and I really appreciate everybody's contribution on that. I think that there clearly needs to be some decisions made in the next upcoming year. Tessa, have a safe trip tomorrow. Thank you for staying for the quorum, and be in touch.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you, Tessa.
See ya.
So there's a couple of other things that are on the agenda. First one is discuss paying for a Sunday night dinner get together prior to this year's Big Sky GeoCon in Billings. So I would like to just put this out there and just give you some background on this. So there has been a lot of discussion between Jeff and myself and Mike about this particular event, and Michelle as well. And one of them is the idea that this would be like a thank you dinner and an acknowledgement to the people that work on the Magip board. Rob also threw in his opinion, and I agree that it would be nice if we could consider another day that we could have this besides Sunday. I would like to throw out that we couldn't come up with another time, Rob. The schedule's already pretty busy. But I actually personally would like to make this something that we do on a yearly basis, just as a way to acknowledge the people that have worked on the board. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's totally voluntary. And every single person that works on the Magip board is really appreciated. I would like to still continue to have the event this year on Sunday, with the idea that when we have our strategic planning meeting and our first meeting in June, that we discuss what time we could potentially do this where everybody can be involved. But I would also like to put it out to get other people's opinions about this particular event. It's on Sunday before the conference.
Well, I just wanted to clarify the point that I tried to make. And I was thinking, what if we all just sit together at the table for the luncheon?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the announcer, Brian Anderson, or something like that, whoever's the speaker, could say something to the fact of acknowledging the board.
Okay.
I just say that because, as you saw, there were 0 federal government responses to the survey.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we have no travel. Our budget just got cut tremendously, and they really clamping down on travel. So
Okay.
I would be paying for all of my travel myself, and there's no way I can be there from Sunday to Friday.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, that's a big ask. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of hotel rooms.
Thank you.
That's just me. That's just my own situation. Right. So,
No, I appreciate that.
I feel like that's a bit much, maybe on Thursday. So, right. So anyway, I just thought, yeah, it'd be nice for us all to get together. And I just thought maybe if we collectively sit together at a table during the conference, that could accomplish something of that nature.
I like that. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Does anybody else have any other comments about the meal on Sunday prior to the conference?
Gail, the only thing I would add is that at the strategic planning in Anaconda this past year was really the first time we'd ever done a group dinner like that, where Magip has paid for it. I mean, we've done them at like the cabins and places like that where we bring in some of our own food, but I mean, I think Magip has paid for it in the past, but it was kind of a different setting. So that is the one place where the board can be acknowledged too. I mean, I know just the board is there, but that can be kind of a thank you at the strategic planning to all have dinner together too, if it's just too hard for everybody to get together at the conference.
I love that. Okay, thank you. Eric?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna second Rob, as well as just the Sunday night. I mean, it can be inconvenient to get there depending on your situation. Like for me, you know, I would want to be in Billings at 8 a.m. in the morning anyway, so it almost does work out to have a like incentive to get there Sunday night, but it is an extra, you know, just night that you're not home, or an extra cost. Like for me personally this year, it's not a problem, but I did, you know, I could see where that would come in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a
I'm
good
in the same boat as
point.
Rob.
It's kind of like a chore.
Hillary?
Oh, I'm in the exact same boat as Rob too with all the funding. So I'm only there for like 2 nights maximum. And it sounded like there were a couple other no's through the email chain as well.
Yeah, there were actually quite a few.
So I think it would be like a very small portion of the committee that could get together on Sunday.
Right. Yes.
I
Okay.
haven't responded yet, but I'll be there on Sunday. So maybe it's, I don't know, more of a casual dinner with whoever's there.
Well, that's what I'm wondering too, if it might be something where we all come together, we all pay for our own meal, but we're able to be together on that Sunday before the conference. Thank you. I really appreciate all of you giving your perspective. It's important for us to be able to make decisions as a team. And I appreciate your feedback. Okay. There's 3 things, and I know we're already past time, so I'm going to try to make it fast. The in-person strategic planning event. So we've gone back and forth about this last year, and I think even the year before and previous years, there has been an email that circulated, like, where would you like to go? Where would you like the event to be? When can we have it? It sounds like it's really hard to plan it after Magip because people have already started planning for this summer. So Michelle and I kind of brainstormed. We came up with the location of Ennis. I actually drove out to Ennis and had the opportunity to drive by this adorable little cabin. I'm just going to bring up the email that Michelle and I put together. It's in here somewhere. Sorry, I think it's this one. Maybe not. Retreat info. Okay, so this is just an email chain. It's up in the email. There's a link that Jeff Sprock sent to everybody, and it's just to talk about this one specific location. It's called the L Western in Ennis. L Western in Ennis. And Michelle was able to reach out to them and ask them if we could get a rate based on booking early, the number of people that we're going to have, and ask if we could get the cost reduced because it's actually a little bit more than our budget. So they responded and they were able to get us some rooms at some pretty good rates. It does sound like there's 2 rooms, 2 cabins that have 2 rooms. So potentially we would have to have some people in the same cabin, but not in the same room. It does sound like those rooms are next to the river. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to go take a look at the site, it's actually pretty cool. And I would really like to get your feedback. We asked Nate what it would take to be able to, for us to afford this. And there's a breakdown of the lodging costs. What we paid previously and what we would pay this year compared to what we did last year. So I would be interested in hearing your feedback about that. It does sound like we have, and maybe Michelle, you could pipe in because you're the one that did all the research on this. There is an opportunity for us to book it, but then we could also modify the reservation if we need to, knowing that our board is going to change a little bit with the people that will be falling off, but then also the new people that will be coming on. So does anybody have any well, I'd like to know, first of all, if you would be available in September. So we were looking at September 10th and 11th. It's actually after Labor Day, but not so late in the season that it might be snowing. Yeah, and just what your ideas are.
And Gail, just to follow up with you, she was actually able to give us the state per diem rate on those rooms, just for those of you who are required to have that. And we already have paid a deposit on it and signed the contract.
Okay.
Because we had to hold it, but that's all refundable. I mean, we can always cancel it and get our deposit back and all that if it turns out that we don't want to do it. But in order to lock it in, we had to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Go there really quick.
So the room rates are 107 plus tax.
And that's actually paid for by Magip.
Correct.
As part of our strategic, right? So this is the site. I'm gonna kind of show you what it looks like.
And Rob,
So
they're
these
pet
are what-
friendly.
Jump in quick.
What's that?
And they're pet friendly.
Oh, good.
It's a good bonus. Is there anything else that we need a quorum for? Because I have somewhere to be at 4.
Nope, I think we're good. Thank you,
Okay.
Eric.
Well, now I'm gonna hop off. Thanks, everyone.
See you
Thank you,
tomorrow,
Eric.
Eric.
That,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I would encourage everybody to go to the link that Jeff Sprock sent, and all the documents are up there. Take a look at it. Let me know your thoughts about the time that we have booked, the location, how close it is to you, whether or not you would be able to participate. My hope is to get all of you there. I would really love to be able to have all of you there. I just think that it's a beautiful venue. It would be a nice site for everybody. Tried to find something that was more centrally located on the west side, but also some clean accommodations. I have heard that Ennis has some really good restaurants at it that we may end up having a meal at, but they also have the opportunity to barbecue. So if you're interested in doing something like that, we could do that as well. So I'm gonna just leave that for now. We really need to move on. Sorry, let me get that off of there and then go back once more to the Google Drive. Close that.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, is that Mike?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. There's one other document that needs to be looked at, the Big Sky GeoCon opening session. So this is a document from Jeff Sprock. He's getting ready to present for the board, right, at the Big Sky GeoCon. So if you have the opportunity to take a look at that, and then I'm gonna try really hard to find my one document that has our agenda. There it is. Okay, so let's get through this. This is and we may actually have to send this out. Approve sending bylaw changes to a membership vote to change MLIAC wording to MGIAC. And I apologize because I let Eric and Tessa go. I should have moved that up on the agenda knowing that we were going to run a little bit long. So basically, Jeff and Mike went through the bylaws and just did a control find replace of MLIAC to MGIAC. And it doesn't sound like MLIAC is written into our oh shoot, sorry, I'm so new at this. And maybe we should save this for the next time just so that we make sure that we get it right. But it doesn't sound like it's in our constitution, but it's in our bylaws, and it would be a modification to the bylaws. And for us to approve that, we actually have to have a quorum, which we don't have anymore. And then one other thing, while you guys are still on the line, I'm going to just go through this really fast. So Jeff Sprock has, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
Is that something we could just address at the member meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? I mean, if we need how much percent do we need in order to have approval? 51% or right? So, just so I'm saying, like, if we're at the meeting, we could bring this up, we could have a vote right there
Yes.
and be
Yep.
done.
Yep. I agree.
And
I
it, and
agree.
it, and
Let's
it
do that.
also gives members an opportunity to feel like they're participating in the membership.
That's a great idea. Okay, so we're going to couch this until our member meeting at Magip.
Yeah, and I think that
Anybody?
I think that a bylaws change does require a vote from the entire membership and not just the board.
Okay, perfect. So that's what we'll do. Then one other new business, unless anybody has any other questions about that before I move on. No. Okay. Okay, so Jeff Brock has been promoted to the IT manager at the City of Billings. I think most of you were aware of that, and has been really struggling with regard to the time that he can commit to Magip. However, he also really loves being on this board and the relationships that he's built here. But we also are moving into a new year. And with that new year coming, that would mean that Jeff Sprock would be moving into the past president role, and Mike Powell would actually be dropping off the board of directors. I really want to have a strong board and also desire having people that have experience on the board with me, and not having a past president on the team is, in my opinion, detrimental to the entire board. So Jeff and I talked about it, what he wanted, what his desire was. He had already reached out to Mike Powell to talk to Mike Powell about his role and what his ideas were as he drops off of the board. And between the three of us and Michelle, the conversation was had that with the approval of the board, and if Jeff makes that decision, that Mike Powell would stay on as past president, and that Jeff Sprock may actually leave the board. That's not official. It's just something that we've been discussing given the workload that Jeff Sprock has been under and the amount of stress that this has put on him. There's no action here required, maybe a conversation. I would love to hear your ideas about moving forward.
So are you suggesting that Jeff will drop off and Mike Powell will stay on?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sorry that Jeff has to make that decision. I'm sure it's not an easy one for him, but I certainly support it. One other thing to consider, Gail, is that we have made this board, we've put a lot more on us. We've taken a lot off of us. Like, we couldn't function in the way we do without the support that's being provided by Michelle and company. So in some sense, we're doing less, but in another sense, we're also doing more, right? And spending 2 hours a month in a meeting, plus retreats, plus other things. It adds up. It adds up. So it may be that we could potentially lighten the load also. We could commit to a, once a year in-person thing and, 1 hour meetings.
Yeah, we talked about the 1 hour meetings. I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, those are things to consider. And, if Jeff could continue in a limited capacity or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just speaking out loud here. Aaron, I'd
Aaron?
love to hear from you on this.
I think you're kind of in a pickle because you don't have the past president on board and your next past president or on this call and this future past president on this call either. Because the past president is the parliamentarian and they should understand the rules. And I mean, when you, you guys are legally bound by the bylaws, right? And so I think I don't think what you're saying can be done. I think it's an executive level position. And just being a past president myself and a parliamentarian, I think you're going to need a vote. I think you're going to need someone to temporarily fill that position. But I would consult the bylaws, and I'm looking at them now. I don't know if there's a precedent for it, for filling
I
in.
feel like they had looked at the bylaws and that there had been a precedent and that there was a vote by the board of directors, but I haven't looked at the bylaws. This is just actually really kind of new news.
I think it should be treated differently because it is the executive level.
Okay.
Aaron,
I don't know.
Aaron, do you really see a problem with with a past president continuing to be past president?
I think it should be, I think because it was an elected, I'm just wondering if it shouldn't just be on the next upcoming election and offered to other people to fill in for a year. I mean,
as a past president?
Yeah.
Or maybe,
I mean,
yeah, that's a
like
good
somebody
point.
that's already been in the role, right?
Right.
So any
Yeah.
any potential past president?
Yeah, does anybody replacing
I mean,
it?
But we have to
the
do something.
the bylaws
Right.
basically say the board has the authority to appoint.
And the vice president is the parliamentarian, not the past.
Oh, did that
Mhm.
change?
I don't know if it
Vice
changed, but that's what it says
president.
in the bylaws now.
Oh, okay.
So
might
that
have
helps a
Okay,
little.
so I'm the vice president right now, so there would be the vice president coming on during the election that's coming up. Thank you, Megan, for qualifying that. That's very helpful. Okay. Well, I don't think that we probably need to spend any more time on this, but I really did want to bring it up and we'll look at that. And then if we need to, we'll bring it to a vote. And again, I know I'm speaking for Jeff here and I'm also speaking for Mike here, but in the conversations that we've had, knowing how important that past president position is and how much I would value having a past president in the room to be able to guide. And Aaron, thank you for your knowledge as well. And also Michelle, understanding the bylaws is really important. So we're not there yet. I guess that's what I would say. Jeff is he's in the position right now of trying to hire a GIS manager. And he would like to stay in the role, and I think that if he can, he will. But I definitely think it was something that needed to be brought up, and we all needed to hear everybody's opinions about that, but then also go to the bylaws to see the direction that we should take. All right. I think we're out of time, you guys. And Rob, thank you for spending the 2 hours on the call. Megan, Mike, Aaron, and Michelle, thank you. It's a lot, more than I had expected. I was hoping to kind of get through it a little more quickly. I think we need to officially end the meeting.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to say though, since we're still on here, do we want to make a plan? Maybe just casually, but I'd really like to resolve this MSU thing.
Okay.
Can we make a plan to talk about that soon? It just seems silly to drag it out for too much longer.
Well, I think that Eric's going to be speaking with Jackson Rose, and he's going to your point, submit another request. And I think that during that request, I think that we could, now that we've had a pretty robust conversation about it during 2 meetings, make a decision.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
It definitely does. I think in terms of the process, I'm fine with it. I was just thinking, do we want to kind of consider what we think is fair? you know, and I think Michelle bringing up the point that other people have paid, you know, $75 just to attend. I think that puts things into perspective, right? And so I was just thinking, you know, maybe we just walk away from this meeting thinking about this and thinking about what might be fair.
Yeah.
You know?
I
If we
agree.
ask them to contribute, you know, become a member for 25 and, you know, maybe make it a total of $40, you know, that would be $7.50 a day, you know, to attend. I'd say that's pretty fair. Make it 50, then you get membership plus attendance for less than just attendance. I don't know, just some numbers, something like that, or
Okay.
you know, I don't want to make more of it. I'd like to resolve it in a manner that seems like it's a benefit to everybody.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other comments? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to close the meeting.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, thank you all. Bye.
See
Have a
some
good
of you,
one.
I'll see some of you tomorrow on
Bye.
conference planning.
Okay, thank
bye.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Gail,
Yes.
I thought it was funny. Someone stopped the recording.
I know, I'm trying, sorry. Oh, I've almost ended the meeting. let me stop the recording and then I'll
Okay.
just leave. Sorry, that was
You
scary.
could be
that I-
on the call.
Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm at. Okay, yeah, no worries. I'm just gonna stop the recording.
Michelle, I need to add someone else to our membership. How do I do that?